when I said that perhaps he was the best player who'd never won a World Championships. I think Aurelian has earned being in that conversation now, so hey, maybe we'll see it again. And then finally, we see the Japan national champion on the other side of the screen. Never want to count out the winner of the Japan qualification system, no matter who it is. They always seem to wind up very deep in the tournament, and I think Japan in general is just going to be super scary. I think the finals of that tournament was definitely an upset where the runner-up may be just as scary, and I believe Japan also has 4 other world champions competing in this event, including both of last year's Master and Senior Division world champions.
Okay, well, everyone is here. They've all gathered for this competition, the champions alike in their own right, but Alchemy-like silver into gold medal might be on the way very soon for some of these competitors. In the Pokemon Unite scene, we have 3 teams that I wanted to spotlight, but there is so many like tournament favorites, if I wanted to call it. But 3 teams that I wanted to call out is going to be Fusion from LATAM South first. A region in LATAM South, a very exciting one, but Fusion have been a dominant force all season long. They haven't lost a single tournament. Regional events and international events, including the AOS Cup at EUIC, they have won every single event they participated in. 100% win rate, pretty good. Fennel from Japan is a somewhat newer squad, relatively, but they did win the Japan regional competition. Zeta Division coming in 2nd place, but they did win the Asia Champions League, and they got 2nd place at that AOS Cup for the international event. So with so many good squads coming out of Japan, it really does feel like it's their year, but right now, our only world champions we've ever had in Pokemon Unite come from North America, back-to-back champions, and now we're playing on that home turf, so maybe North America will make a showing as well. I mean, who knows? There is so many exciting teams to watch, so I think a lot to look forward to in this event. I personally cannot wait. Any final thoughts before we close out here, Amanda?
I mean, I'm just really excited for Pokemon Go. I mean, obviously, no shade. I'm excited for all the games, but really best Twitch drops, most exciting battles. You're going to be watching Pokemon Go.
Fair enough. How about you, Puka?
You know, there's just such a long history for TCG at the World Championships. There's players like Ross Cawthon who have qualified for every one. He's taken 2nd place twice. He's just every year trying to fight to get that World Championship victory finally. We actually have, I believe, 13 players who are in the running to be a 2-time world champion, which is really exciting. We've only had 1 multiple-time world champion in the TCG. So that's something I'm going to be watching as well to see if any of those players can, put their names in the history books as a 2-time world champion.
Awesome. How about you, Scott?
I'm just really excited to see how players navigate this format. We've never really had anything like it, and with so many players competing this year and a format where I think like the top team archetypes are better defined than in most years, I don't think it's going to work just to kind of like have nothing unique and just expect to win your way through on skill alone with a bunch of matchups that may be very close to 50-50. So I'm excited to see what competitors do to give themselves a little bit better odds. I think whoever wins this tournament is going to have a really clever solution.
Oh, I love that. I think Unite's kind of in the same boat. I think this might be the tournament we've had the most parity of any World Championships yet. These teams feel very close together across the board. So I personally can't wait, and I know all of you can't either. So make sure to tune in and follow all of the channels, youtube.com/Pokemon, twitch.tv/Pokemon, and tune in. Sunday will be the grand finals for Go, TCG, and VGC. Pokemon Unite will be concluding on Saturday night, so make sure to tune into that. Now, the next thing that you all are going to want to stay tuned in for is a pretty exciting event that I'm personally pumped for. It'll be the opening ceremony. So the opening ceremonies will be happening very soon, and right after that, the competition. So tune in and enjoy the World Championships.
好像没声音，对不对？ 拖延了啊！刚刚剩下59分钟，现在要把它变回4分钟。
ka hele a ka waine ui me haka leo I ke kule a ohe hawala a wana manu wala I ka nona me ka malui hele loa mai noa ako mo mai loko nei o ka ale o ka inoa no I o ku uhale ku mai la ipuna o mauli ole ano kau noi ho I ke maila no kau make make ho I au me o I ko hale o halau a ole ke ai aku nei au I kau noi oi ai he mai ke o e mai nei ka ne u he aloha lai aloha wa nei o e ia ka lai ia ka I ka polia o pele lai aloha o e pele ho nua me alai mena kini aga mahula e kane ku aga mahu pule lola e wa ina pau pa abu la e ka honua ka levalani levali ili ilai ka nei ka honua e alai ka balili pu vai e aloha lai aloha e na ho o ka e ke kini a ke akua ke kini a ka naka ke kini a na mamo ka hua a ke ola ola oe ola ola ka ko a maulo o e mai nei ka ne ue aloha lai aloha wa nei o e I ka lai I ka polia o pele lai aloha o e pele ho nua me alai mena kini aga mahula e kane ku aga mahu pule lola e wa ina pau pa abu la e ka honua ka levalani levali ili ilai ka nei ka honua e alai ka palili pu vai e aloha lai aloha e na ho o ka vau e ke kini a ke akua ke kini a ka naka ke kini a ka hua a ke ola ola oe ola ola ka ko a maulo hula
We came from far away to share our love of the game while the island sunset glows, making new memories with my Ohana my family. Hey, come on, my, it's time to go. Hey, come on, my, it's time to go. Hey, come on, my, and let the games begin.
Now you're the next in line. Now it's your chance to shine while the island sea breeze blows.
2024 Pokemon World Championships. We're here in beautiful Honolulu, Hawaii, with the best to ever play the game. But you never know.
It could be you on different.
Come on, my, it's time to go. Come on, my, and let the games begin. Come on, my, and let the games begin.
Wow, let's hear one more big round of applause for Kylo Moon and our amazing dancers. That musical performance was one absolutely to remember, and that hula performance was such a great way to welcome all our trainers. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having us. It's truly an honor to perform in front of a wonderful audience of Pokemon trainers. Thank you again. And Ikomo Mai means welcome on in and welcome to Hawaii.
I know I'm going to be singing A Como Mai all weekend long. Tell us a little bit more about that first dance.
The opening hula was about Pele, who is one of our goddesses. We have many gods and goddesses that embody all of our elements that surround us. Pele embodies fire and volcanoes, creation of new land, and that opening number was about her and her sisters and their competitive relationship with each other. And
I love that. And I can't wait to learn a little bit more about Pele later. I know I'm going to be singing those songs all weekend long. Thank you so much. I'm just filled with that Hawaiian spirit.
Ikomo Mai simply means welcome, but also it represents a desire for all of us to come together as a community. So thank you so much for having us in the Pokemon community.
Yeah, we're so excited to come together and celebrate Pokemon, right? And we're so happy to be in Hawaii once again. So please, one more round of applause for that amazing Hawaiian welcome. Thank you so much. Now, hello, officially welcome to the Pokemon World Championship 2024. I'm Anna Prosser, and I'll be your host this weekend here in the stunning city of Honolulu, Hawaii. We are honored to have over 3,000 of the best trainers from around the globe joining us here this weekend. These talented trainers are ready to compete in Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet, the Pokemon trading card game, Pokemon Go, and Pokemon Unite. But before we dive into all of that excitement, let's hear a few words from the president and CEO of the Pokemon Company. Please welcome Mr. Tsunekazu Ishihara.
ポケモントレーナーの皆さん、こんにちは。
Hello, Pokemon trainers!
ワールドチャンピオンシップス2024を迎えることができ、大変嬉しく思っています。
I'm very happy to be here together with you for the 2024 Pokemon World Championships.
この世界大会は、ポケモンのすべてを祝い、そして楽しむゲームです。世界中から集まった皆さんが互いを支え合い、そして競い合う姿を見るのは、私にとって大きな喜びです。
The Pokemon World Championships are a celebration of all things Pokemon, and I am delighted to see all of you from around the world come here to compete with and support each other.
私は今日から皆さん一人一人を応援したいと思います。まずはこの場にたどり着いたことを心からお祝いいたします。世界チャンピオンになるために全力で頑張ってください。
I look forward to cheering each and every one of you this weekend. Congratulations on making it here. And please give it your all and strive to become the world champion.
そしてトレーナーの皆さんを支えてくださったご家族やご友人の皆さんにも感謝申し上げます。皆さんのサポートはトレーナーたちが目標を達成する上でかけがえのないものです。
I also want to extend my heartfelt thanks to all of the family and friends who supported our trainers throughout the season. Your support is invaluable to helping them achieve their goals.
また私たちを温かく迎えてくださったホノルルの皆さんにマハロの気持ちでいっぱいです。このように再びハワイの地で世界大会を開催できたことに感謝いたします。
And mahalo to the community of Honolulu for the warm welcome. We are so happy to be able to host the Pokemon World Championships here in Hawaii once again.
さて、トレーナーの皆さん、これから気持ちを引き締めて、いよいよ始まるバトルに集中しましょう。私が次に皆さんにお会いするのは日曜日閉会式の夕方の閉会式です。その時にポケモンの最新情報をお知らせしたいと思います。
For now, trainers, let's focus on the competition ahead, and I'll see you all again at the closing ceremonies on Sunday evening to share some special news for our Pokemon games.
皆さんのご健闘を心より祈っています。それでは大いに楽しんでください。
I wish you all the best of luck in your battles. Have fun.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ishihara! Now, we are just moments away from kicking off the Pokemon 2024 World Championship. To set the competitive stage, our casters and analysts will be diving into the players and storylines that we should keep our eyes on this weekend. But before you take your seats at the play tables, we want to take a moment to honor and inspire those who made it to Worlds and are starting their journey down Victory Road. So in the next dance, you will see the power of Pele's family. Her favorite sister, Hi'iaka, is known for fighting giant dragons like Mokoli'i, now an islet of Oahu's Kualoa Beach. Hi'iaka is a skilled fighter who uses her magical skirt and control of the elements to defeat enemies and clear her path. So let this performance become a part of your story and inspire you to become the best and achieve victory. Competitors, good luck. We can't wait to see who will be the next Pokemon World Champion.
Awana mo koli ke kai wahele apuana ye ke kanaka hele ikali ula oko hala iovi vi ai ole vi makai ole I kai no kai kai ka hei kai ka no e ai e o ie Pilia mo o kai ko o I ka palilai Ua mo o kualo alai o io Kai po I kumu pali kane ho alani Kulana ka ho I mo koli I ta e hua ke kai Mo ka pua wa ke aya ho kulai Kuka pi o aloa pi o nue nue ai e o ie Ki e kane ho alani Ho bue ana mo koli I te anu He keiki makahi apo I ana ko o lau e na te o ne o kane Lau na ko ama o ki o he ia E ia ula wa ke nai ka ino ai e o ie Maka ino mo o ka mo o vivi O a ka o ka pa O a ka huelo hale O pa I pali ku I ko o lau Ku ele po a ke ko o lau a hine Ni ho ku alo no mai Ku a ta o lau e ai o ie Ho hai ke ka bao ke le Ho hai makani holo palilai Ho hai ka mako ka vahine Ho hai ka hua kai make Halulu e ue 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 halulu e ue
Aloha trainers and welcome to the Pokemon World Championships here in Honolulu, Hawaii. My name is Rosemary Kelly and I'm joined by Lou Akjosh Cromie, and we are so excited to kick off the festivities for this year's Pokemon World Championships.
I honestly can't believe that time is finally here. The pinnacle of Pokemon play at the Pokemon World Championships. These trainers have battled it out all through the 2024 season to be here, and one of them, Rosemary, on Sunday will be walking away our new world champion.
And it may even be somebody that has already won a world championship in the past. It could happen, and if it's going to be any year, I think it's this year.
It could very well be. We've had it in the past as well with multiple world champions, but there's only been one in the form of Ray Rizzo. So I wonder who in video game might be trying to get that double, or whether a newcomer will emerge and take that title.
Well, over the course of the 2024 season, we have had a lot of events. We've kicked things off for North America in Pittsburgh, and we started things off for Europe in Barcelona. That was kind of where we got our journey started, heading to Honolulu. But all of our players trying to qualify through our championship point circuit. So based on how you did at these events, you got a chance to get some championship points, and you had to hit a specific bar in order to qualify to be here this weekend.
That's the thing. This is a very exclusive tournament in the fact that you have to qualify in order to be here. And you can see exactly what our competitors had to achieve in order to be invited to the World Championships. Depending on your region and your division, because we have junior, senior, and masters competitors this weekend, you had to acquire a certain amount of championship points. And some of those stakes were really high. Look at North America, for example, in the masters division, needing 500 of those points.
It was a lot of points up for grabs, but that means that we have only the best of the best competitors here competing at the Pokemon World Championships. But what's in store for us this weekend? We've got a video to show you all about what to expect this weekend.
The 2024 Pokemon World Championship event will be showcasing the best Pokemon VG players and matches all weekend. Trainers from around the world are here to compete for the title of World Champion, over $2 million in prizing, and return invitations for next year's Worlds. Day 1, our trainers face off with Swiss rounds. Trainers who meet the required number of match points will advance to Day 2. Day 2, trainers who advance from Day 1 will continue with Swiss rounds, playing until top cut is determined. Trainers will then compete in a single elimination bracket until a champion is crowned. All matches are best of 3. Who will take the title of Pokemon World Champion this weekend? Watch to find out and follow the action at Pokemon.com/play.
So at the end of this weekend, we have a lot of prize money to give away. Top 16 is going to be walking away with $5,000, and it only goes up from there.
That's the thing. It's not just about the glory of being Pokemon World Champion. There is prize money on the line that makes that victory taste a little bit sweeter as well. In the #1 top spot, $30,000. I mean, that is an incredible feat and something that will make an incredible memory for years to come.
I mean, last time we were in Hawaii, that first place was $3,500.
That's the thing.
Let that sink in.
Yeah, like history is definitely evolving, and the game as well, and the stakes and everything these competitors are putting themselves up for is just incredible. I think one of the coolest things as well is the memories you can make along the way with your friends. Maybe there could be like a group that kind of get all in the top 16. That would be kind of cool.
That would be very cool, and maybe a very nice dinner to celebrate after that.
For sure. Many dinners. Many dinners.
Well, as today is day #1, that does mean we are going to have 8 rounds of Swiss. You can get an idea of what that timetable is going to look like based on what is in front of you. We play those 8 rounds today. Our trainers that are able to withstand that competition and pressure play 3 more rounds tomorrow before we end up getting into our top cut. It is asymmetrical this year, which is very exciting because it means that we can actually see even more competitors beyond a 16 up through 32 that could compete for those prize money.
Exactly. We get to see more amazing Pokemon action, and it's a little bit unique and new for the players as well, because particularly in the European and North American circuit, they're kind of used to battling out 9 rounds of Swiss on that day 1. So, you know, they have 1 round off on that first day, but the stakes are still really high. You need that X and 2 record to be able to advance into the second day of competition. You still carry, of course, that record over, so you need to make sure you do your very, very best from the first round.
And it doesn't get easier from there, because in day #2, it is still going to be that X and 2 record that's going to get you into that top cut. So very, very high stakes on the line for our trainers. 3 strikes, you are out of competition. So we are going to be so excited to see which trainers can really make their way through that. But Lou, this is not the first time that we've been in Hawaii. We kind of teased that a little bit, and so let's take a step back through history. This is actually going to be the 3rd time we find ourselves in Honolulu, Hawaii for the World Championships of Pokemon.
Yep, they were here
in 2010.
Well, let's think 2010, then 2012, and now 2024. Like, it's definitely a hotspot for Pokemon trainers to come and try and become the world champion. But a lot has changed over that decade plus of Pokemon times. I mean, the event has grown, the spectator numbers, the competitor numbers are so much more. And one of the things that I think is really beautiful is there were some trainers who are battling today that were battling back in Hawaii in 2010, 2012. And they are now veterans of this video game. But back then, they had stories where they looked up at the world champions, the top cut players, and were inspired by them. And now possibly some of them have acquired big accolades of their own, and they're now here to inspire the future generations, the people maybe at their very first world championships. And I love that that kind of harmonious kind of inspiration from these trainers is allowed to grow year on year.
I mean, do you want to hear a throwback of some of those names from the top 8 of 2012?
Go for it. Make me feel old, Rosemary.
Okay, well, for starters, 2010 and 2012 in Hawaii is actually the bookend of Ray Rizzo's 3 world championships back to back to back.
Amazing.
So such a special place for him. But even just looking at the rest of that top 8 from 2012, we got Wolf Glick in 2nd place, Sajin Park in 5th place. And those are 2 competitors you will see battling it out here this weekend. So we can't wait to see how far they are able to go.
And 2 previous world champions as well. Sajin Park actually winning it a decade ago in 2014. Wasn't in Hawaii, but still 10 years since his amazing victory with Pachirisu, as well as Wolf Glick winning in 2016.
Listen, that's just a credit to what you were saying, right? They ended up kind of starting their journey in Hawaii and then becoming inspirations for those around them. Who doesn't forget the Pachirisu that Sajin Park used to win that world championships? So exciting. But even just to speak to the growth that we've had, 33 players in 2012 Worlds. We have 694 Masters players competing today. That is
the game.
Huge.
Yeah, like the growth of the game is incredible. And, you know, long live Pokemon. The fact that it keeps developing, it keeps growing, not only in the Masters Division, but juniors and seniors as well, picking up Pokemon maybe for the first time this season, and now getting themselves here to the World Championships is just amazing to see how many people are here. Not even just the competitors, but spectators, families here supporting as well. Pokemon Worlds is where it's at.
It really is. But with those 694 competitors we have here this weekend, it means that we have a lot of incredible trainers we are so excited to introduce to you. Maybe some players that you would love to kind of check out as their journey develops. First stop, though, is in North America. We've got to start with my home region, Lou, and we have some heavy hitters here. North America is definitely one of the larger regions that we have for competitors, and that means that the competition was very, very stiff this season. Riley Factura, though, heads above the rest. The most championship points throughout any of our North American players. In fact, he ended up earning 1594. That is 4 World Championship invites, actually, if you think about it, because it's 500 per North America. And then you also had Riley winning the Pittsburgh Regional Championships to kick off the season, which is also a World invite in its own right.
What an incredible player. And up there as well, you've got Joseph Ugarte, someone who is the king of consistency, 2 times Portland Regional Champ, as well as top cutting Worlds twice, has top cut International Championships 4 times, but still hasn't been able to get that international victory. Someone who I know has put a lot of effort into this tournament, is probably one of the best King Gambit players in the world. Whether or not it's the call for this championship, we'll have to see, but someone who's so consistent and ready for that #1 spot.
Also very good at Sun.
Oh,
I'm just
yeah,
thinking
loves
back
the Sun
to that
team.
Portland Regional Championship win with the Jump Love.
Yes.
Very unique pick there. Last but of course not least, we've got Justin Burns. Now this is a player that has already proven himself in a restricted format. Looking back to the London Open in 2022, ended up getting a top 32 there with Palkia and Ice Rider Calyrex. That was when we had that double restricted format. But following through that Ice Rider train of hype, ended up top cutting every single Regulation G single restricted event this season. Indianapolis, Los Angeles, and North America International Championships, all leading up to here with Ice Rider Calyrex. Feel like there's a lot of magic behind that, and feel like a lot of maybe expectation behind what Justin Burns can bring to the table.
A lot of mastery for sure behind Justin Burns' plays. But if we kick it over the pond as well to Europe, this is another absolutely stacked region of competition. The one thing I love about Europe is the fact that they have kind of mini metas within the different communities. You know, Team Italy will be running something, Team Spain will be running something, but let's go straight away to Team Portugal in the form of Eduardo Cunha, the world champion from 2022. At the very beginning of the season, staked his claim to try and get that title again by becoming the Barcelona champion, as well as more recently getting a top 4 finish at NAIC. Previously, you know, in Worlds, it was a restricted format. It was running that Calyrex Shadow Rider and the Zacian, although Zacian may not be the cool Calyrex Shadow Rider. It's definitely out there, so I wonder if history will repeat itself with Eduardo.
I feel like it absolutely could. I think there's a lot of similarities to maybe some of the double restricted types of teams that we ended up seeing with those restricteds and to what we can expect this weekend. But you also have to take a look at the rest of this graphic and notice that we've got 2 current international champions. Lou, you must be so proud that Europe almost had the clean sweep this year.
Europe was bringing it home for sure, and Nils Dunlop, when we saw him win in London, boy was he incredible. It was amazing to see him finally get that European champion title, running some really cool teams as well with things like Urshifu and Incineroar, very tried and tested combinations. He has been a multiple regional champion in the past and also has top 4 and top 8 worlds before. So it definitely shows that he's the player that has the caliber to make that top cut, and who knows, with the season he's had, he could go all the way.
Yeah, and right before that, we saw Marco Silva win the Latin America International Championships this season. And it didn't stop there for him, though. You know, top 4 at Stockholm, top 8 at Lille.
Wow.
He also got a 2nd at Malmö in 2023, and I just feel like in 2023 in general, also had such an impressive season with that top 8 at the North America International Championships as well. Has gotten so close, maybe even being able to capture the Infinity Gauntlet of international championships because he won OCIC in 2020. Maybe a Worlds to add on as the next one.
That's like the final gemstone in the gauntlet, right? And I think definitely someone with that consistency and level of play, Marco Silva, one to watch.
Absolutely. But, you know, we can't forget, of course, our lovely neighbors in Latin America. This is a region that is just filled with so much passion. The community is so excited all the time that we end up having a lot of these players show up. Speaking of the Latin America International Championships, I feel like this is where we actually got a chance to see all of these players perform super well. Starting with Juan Salerno, though, he has absolutely taken Regulation G by storm. He won the Buenos Aires Regulation G event, which was the very first one with Ice Rider Calyrex. Very impressive to watch that. But since then, has also gotten a top 8 at Sao Paulo and also a top 8 at the Santiago Regional Championships. So a lot of experience in this regulation and also just across the board for 2024.
Yeah, a younger player, but not one to be underestimated. Moving on to a player from Argentina, a personal favorite of mine is Sebastian Escalante. He was someone who I was so enchanted to watch in 2017, an absolute legend, being able to get top 8 at Worlds that year, as well as top 8 at OCIC and NAIC. 2017 was his season. He took a little bit of time off, but has come back with an absolute vengeance. First in Buenos Aires regionals, as well as top 4 in 2 events. Recently this season, he has kind of favored the restricted choice of Terapagos in this regulation so far, but I wonder if that's going to be his choice here at Worlds.
I remember taking a look at all the top cuts recently for these events. I'm like, oh, Juan Salerno, Sebastian Escalante. I feel like I'm always seeing them in these top cuts. And you mentioned a couple of similar events there, but last, of course not least, we have to look at Brazil's Gabriel Agati. This is a player that has just been consistent. Over the course of the last several years, you can always expect to see him in the top cuts of the international championships, but always that second place and never that first.
So close.
So close. Kind of like a Joseph Ugarte story. Being able to get so close to that title, not necessarily able to grab it just yet. Most recently, second at the North America International Championships in 2022 and second at the European International Championships in 2023. Maybe this is the weekend that Gabriel can get it done.
Honestly, these Latin American players are so ready to get the #1 spot. All 3 of them are worth watching. But let's go to completely the other side of the globe and take a look at the Oceania region, because this is a region I think a lot of players sometimes underestimate, and you really should not underestimate them. They can surprise you not only with their amazing accolades, but some of their really unique team building as well. First on this list, however, Nicholas Khan, a player who we have been able to see grow up. And sometimes I want to say, like, never grow up. You were such a fantastic junior, because if you look at the records here, world champion in 2017 in the junior division, then leveling up into seniors, getting top 16 at the 2019 World Championships, and then more recently, Brisbane champion. Fantastic player, has come from a family of amazing Pokemon players too. Nicholas Khan in Masters Division making waves out here in Hawaii.
Absolutely. And following suit, we've got Diego Ferreira, who has gotten a top 4 at the Melbourne Regional Championships this season, but also a top 32 at Perth and a top 32 at the European International Championships. So very recent results that I think are very exciting to see if Diego can continue to really live up to this breakout season that he's had.
Yes, exactly. So much consistency from these players. And then Megan Rattle, last on this list, a player who has had phenomenal records at the World Championships, has top 8 back-to-back Worlds in 2019 and then the 2022 World Championships. And honestly, someone who I'm so excited to see what they're able to do at this World Championships. Has previously done well with Pokemon like Kyogre, so I wonder if that's going to be, again, bringing some of that ocean vibe to the stage.
I think Kyogre could absolutely make some waves.
Oh, yeah.
And we'll get back to that in just a little bit. We now turn our attention to Japan. And on this graphic, you are going to see a lot of familiar faces. Shohei Kimura, our reigning world champion in the Masters Division. Tomoya Ogawa, this reigning senior division world champion. And Mao Harada, getting a top 4 at last year's World Championships. Japan had the clean sweep.
Oh, they did.
And there is very little secret why. They are just so good.
So dominant. And as well, Tomoya in the senior division winning last year really was kind of the story of us behind the desk here, Rosemary, because you're a big Sylveon fan, I'm a big Gastrodon fan, and he was able to win with both those Pokemon on his team. So it was really fantastic to see a favorite of ours out there being a world champion.
And Shohei and Mao, they actually were playing the same team.
Yeah.
The Landorus, the Urshifu, we had the Fluttermane, Qianpao, Mungus, and Iron Hands. A lot of pieces that we would consider making up a balanced team. And just very well-rounded, and that really allowed them to showcase what they bring to the table as players, but also team builders, because they did have a couple of unique choices on there that really shook things up for the other competitors.
Exactly, and Japan has sometimes struggled in these restricted formats. 2016, when everything was this big 6 archetype, they kind of struggled around that. So I'm really looking forward to the fact that we've got a unique single restricted format, whether that might be their time to shine. But we can take a look as well at some other players from the Korea region, who I think have a very unique kind of entrance to this tournament, because in Korea they haven't really been able to have a lot of the Regulation G tournaments. They've been playing primarily in Regulation F, so they might be kind of unexperienced in this format, but they are still formidable. Some incredible trainers here. Ju Young-hong has been the Trainers' Cup champion this year, using the team that Nils actually used in EUIC, so taking some inspiration there and being able to pilot it to perfection to get that victory.
And next to him, we have Sung Jae-jung, who was actually the second place, so the runner-up there at the Korean National Cup. We had Ndidi and Iron Crown. That's a really fun combination. And also ended up getting that second place with Reggie Drago.
Yes, and finally on this list, we've got Tae-seok Ro, who was top 4 in the Trainers' Cup. So again, really, really consistent, being able to, you know, use that Reg F knowledge to be able to pilot a team very effectively. And the one thing I want to say as well, like these were kind of like best of like closed team sheets, weren't they? I believe
it was a different format which so also makes it a little bit unique and a little bit more difficult to see where they kind of stack up in terms of the power level of some of these players, but even more exciting nonetheless to see how they're going to adapt and adjust.
Yeah, and Ju-young as well, one thing I forgot to mention was the senior world champion in 2017.
Yes.
So again, leveling up, but knows what it takes to go all the way. So I would definitely keep an eye on these players if I were you at home, trainers.
And we have our final region we want to look at here. It's going to be the Asia Pacific region. On your left, we have Ma Chun-young, who is the Hong Kong national champion. Ended up getting that actually with a very fun team with Koraidon, Fluttermane, Raging Bolt, the Ogerpon Cornerstone, one of my favorite Pokemon, the Golden Ghost. So lots of really fun pieces to work with there on that Sun team.
Yes, exactly. And we've also got Irvin Tan here, who was the Singapore national champion. Again, Regulation F, so Regulation G is going to be a surprise. But hey, if you are a national champion, you are someone that, you know, you don't want to pair up against in those early rounds as well, because you know what it takes to win, you know what it takes to be able to be in the top cut and to battle it out against the very best of the best.
Yes, and in the middle here we have Chayawa Trawacha, who is from Thailand, so the reigning Thailand national champion.
Exactly, again, another national champion, so much consistency. And I hear as well that Chayawa has just missed top cut in Worlds 2022, so he's going to be out here trying to, you know, get a little bit of redemption out there on the field and go all the way and get a top cut finish.
Oh, it's going to be so exciting to keep our eyes on these players as we progress through day number 1 and hopefully into day number 2 for some of them as well. But that competition is definitely going to be very cutthroat as we look at that X and 2 record to make it through to the end of today into tomorrow. But before we get into the action, Lou, I think it's important to set the stage a little bit. This format that we have is going to be unique because for the first time ever at a World Championships, we are playing in a single restricted Pokemon format. It's almost weird to think about because of how many times we've seen double restricted formats.
Well, normally they come as a duo, right? Because they are kind of the titans, the powerhouses out there that you kind of would have 2 in a format where we have double battle style, right? And they would have a really good synergy amongst them. Whereas now it's a little bit like pick your big Pokemon and then put the 5 little ones around it and try and support it the best way you can. And it's been really interesting to see which restricted Pokemon have kind of emerged into dominance in the usage, because they're the ones that can have more synergy with more Pokemon.
Yes, and for anybody that is unfamiliar with what we mean when we say restricted Pokemon, we are talking about the Pokemon that you see on the box art for your favorite game. So for Scarlet and Violet, that's Koraidon and Miraidon, and similar Pokemon to that regard. They're just so powerful that we restrict them and have much usage that we get a chance to see on a specific team.
Pokemon like the Calyrex as well, Calyrex Shadow Rider, Calyrex Ice Rider, both are going to be, I think, firm favorites in the usage this weekend, as well as a couple of other legendaries from many generations past. Pokemon like Kyogre, for example. I would say Groudon, but I'm not sure it's the cool, but I know there will be some Groudon Pokemon trainers out there still using it, hoping their Precipice Blades connect.
Yeah, I mean, that's where I'm at right now. I love Groudon, don't get me wrong, but I think that it can be a little bit tough when you have all of these other restricteds in the format that do have 100% accurate, very powerful moves, like the Ice Rider and Shadow Rider Calyrex that you mentioned, and of course, the Kyogre also that's going to be present on this screen. I think that's where my heart is. That's where your heart is. I totally expected to end up seeing the Gastrodon there as well. So,
I mean, of course, right? It wouldn't be me without the Gastrodon on the screen. But Rose, I really want you to tell me a little bit more. So speak now on your team a little bit.
Okay.
Okay, talk me through why you've also got Kyogre, but critically, Pokemon like the Cornerstone Ogerpon.
Yes, okay, so I mean, I mentioned it a little bit briefly when we were talking about some of the players to watch, but Ogerpon Cornerstone is one of the more popular Ogerpon forms that we have seen in the meta as of late. I think it's really exciting because not only does it offer you the opportunity to just get out some really big damage, you can fully train it in its attack as well as its speed to just make it a very powerful glass cannon type Pokemon, but you also have the sturdy ability on this particular Ogerpon form, which gives you sort of an almost focus sash in some ways, so you really can lean into its offensive power in that regard.
I love that, actually bringing the ability through, and then you've got the kind of counter to abilities with the Galarian Weezing as well, using that neutralizing gas to just completely get rid of abilities and their potential to support a match on the field. For me, I've definitely gone the water types because the Fire, Water, Grass core is such a staple at the moment, a really balanced, consistent trio to put on your team that I'm assuming one water Pokemon will win the World Championships. I've gone on with Kyogre because it is one of these Pokemon that's really kind of risen in popularity lately, being able to have a lot of pressure on the field with things like the Origin Pulse, being able to connect really well with that ability bringing Drizzle onto the field so that your water type moves are boosted, can also help out partner Pokemon like Urshifu. Dondozo Tatsugiri is a classic combination, one of my favorites. Yes, the games are long, but they can sometimes be so sweet victorious.
Yes, I was going to say, I feel like you can't have the Dondozo without the Tatsugiri right now.
Implied,
so
right?
You've got like 5 Pokemon here, actually, when you think about it.
It's already in the mouth rose. It's already like ready, okay?
It's fighting. It's ready to go. You're so right. But for the rest of our casters that are joining us this weekend, so excited to have them here as well. But we do have the Miraidon as well from Sierra and Scott. The Shadow Rider Calyrex here from Lee. Gabby has gone the Ice Rider Calyrex as she loves that Trick Room mode with the Farigiraf and the Ursaluna. And then Joe, of course, has a Kyogre as well. That smart man right there. Joe, smart man.
Very, very smart. And it's nice to see the kind of variety of Pokemon choices on there as well. A nice balance between the offensive heavy hitters and the supportive Pokemon as well, like Farigiraf and Clefairy. Love those Pokemon.
I mean, I know we were talking about Grimmsnarl out backstage. So that is a Pokemon that I have on my caster predictions. And it's really interesting to see how the meta has developed. The last time, if you had tuned into one of our official Pokemon events, it would have been the North America International Championships, where, you know, screens, not necessarily kind of the biggest star or spotlight of, I would say, of the teams, but so important right now.
Exactly, and speaking of tuning in as well, if you are watching from home or anywhere in the world, please make sure to engage on our social medias as well. We would love to be able to hear from you, see all of your posts, see who you're, rooting for, which Pokemon you want to see. If you're maybe having a viewing party, please share that with us, and also share all your amazing kind of Pokemon art, your cats. I would love to see your cats, whether they're dressed up as a Pokemon or not, that is optional. But
we're just enjoying Pokemon, watching.
Yeah, exactly. Like cats watching Pokemon, that is definitely a thing. Dogs too, I think Rosemary would make me say.
I would love to see the dog photos.
Yeah, we just love to see how you are engaging with the broadcast and try and bring a little bit of the magic that we're feeling here in the arena home to you as well. So use that hashtag Pokemon Worlds to reach out and let us know how you are enjoying this event.
Well, before we get into the action for the day, let's take a look back on what it takes to be a champion from this year's regionals and internationals.
This is the final international event of our 2024 season. And we're so excited to watch our competitors solidify their invites to Worlds 2024 in Honolulu, Hawaii.
The stakes get higher and higher the closer we get to that coveted world champion title. This is your last opportunity.
There is a lot on the line for every single player out here. It has been a long season with a lot of Pokemon coming out on top.
Hello, Pokemon fans, and welcome to the kickoff of the 2024 season.
Mirage Gate, that is it. Oh, wow. Andrew Estrada.
Riley Factura taking the first regional, and Michael Zhang.
I'm really excited to see that team again. The previous time I was on stream, we kind of both underestimated a little bit.
Giovanni Costa.
The double crit! Arjet, a smile on his face. Game number 5 goes to Arjet.
Here it is, Mirage Gate, gonna power up Giratina V-Star, and John Eng is the Portland Regional Champion.
And he takes it, the Charlotte Miracle.
Todd Ratcliffe is your 5-time international champion.
Urshifu, close combat into the it holds on!
Wolf becomes a repeat champion. 3-time Worlds qualified competitor. No one can do it like Doombug.
Other trainers should consider me a threat because I never back down, I never feel like I'm out of a game, and I'm always going to give it my best.
Do people not see the 3 regional championships I have?
I do not mess up very often, and I'm not going to start messing up.
Probably the best of the world right now, so they should be threatened.
I'm threatening in the way that any other competitor who is qualified for Worlds is threatening.
Somos la mejor región de Latinoamérica Sur.
I think if the other players at the World Championships don't consider me a threat, then they have not done their research.
All these events really just lead up to Worlds. We've had some phenomenal players win this season, and
players are better now than they've ever been. You get a lot of people from different places in the world, and
it'll be the biggest World so far. It's going to be an incredibly difficult feat to try and win it all.
It's never a guarantee. Everyone is phenomenal. Everyone is doing great service to the game at the World Championships.
Only one person can win, so everyone's going to have a story.
I am absolutely winning Worlds this year. I am unstoppable right now.
I am definitely winning Worlds this year.
I will be winning the World Championship this year.
I'm winning the World Championships.
If not this year, then eventually.
Gonna give it my all, you know?
Who knows how far I'll go, but I've always said I wanted to get another Pikachu trophy, so.
I will pour my heart and soul into it once again, and we'll see how far it takes us.
I do think I have a chance.
I think I do have a good shot.
I want to have fun more than anything.
If I could battle anybody at the World Championships, it'd be Tord Rekkas.
I would love to face off against Tord again.
If I hit Azul in the Worlds Finals, that would have been amazing.
Azul.
It's gotta be Gabriel Agati.
Junebug.
Justin Tang.
Brad Chen.
So I think the World Championship is literally the only thing I haven't won. So that's like the last thing I need to collect for my trophy case.
It would be life-changing.
Winning Worlds would mean the world to me.
There were a lot of people when I won Worlds the first time that sort of teased me about it being Seniors Worlds when Ray was taking his 3rd crown. And I've always kind of wanted to prove them wrong.
I think that if I were to win the World Championships again, it would mean that I am undisputably the best player of all time.
Being able to tell my 10-year-old self that, hey, your dreams actually did come true would be something magical.
Well, you've heard what it takes to win, and somebody out there right now will indeed win and become the world champion. The tournament's about to get started. Trainers are set and ready for round 1, Rosemary.
And round number 1, we have a doozy for you that we are bringing to you on broadcast. We have Adam Sherfui versus Shohei Kimura, our reigning world champion.
I literally can't sit still. I am so excited for this match, to be able to pick things up exactly where we left them off in Yokohama, to be able to see Shohei Kimura here.
And Shohei has also competed at other events this season, competed at the European International Championships, got a bit of experience there, but has also done very well in online tournaments leading up to the World Championships. We're focusing on Adam Sherfui, though, right now. Got a top 16 at Dortmund and Bologna this year, as well as a top 32 at Utrecht. So really having a fantastic season for 2024.
Yeah, lots of top cuts, but wants to go all the way and get number 1. And this is the first hurdle you have to overcome. Taking a little look at the teams, we've got a really interesting balance score here. We've got the classic Urshifu, Incineroar, and Rillaboom that give you a Fire, Water, Grass called Staples, as well as Calyrex Shadow Rider, a Pokemon that is so formidable out there, very, very ferociously speedy, and can deal a huge amount of damage with Astral Barrage.
But I think what's going to be very defining characteristic of the Shadow Rider Calyrex teams is going to be the held item that they have, as well as their moveset. On Adams, you can see that he has a kind of a Terra Fairy with the Draining Kiss that has been very popular in terms of like North America and Europe, but he also is holding a Covert Cloak, which means that he's a little bit more kind of defensively focused, has the Calm Mind as well to boost up those special defenses.
Exactly, and you know, being able to have that kind of set up can give you so much momentum, but you have to get through the reigning world champion first of all. Shohei Kimura running a very similar team, again running that Calyrex Shadow Rider, but it's definitely more on the offensive here. Having that nasty plot to get a boost to your special attack will make those Astral Barrages and the Psychics as well for that single target damage deal so much, particularly if you can get some of those Grim Neigh boosts rolling as well.
And if it's not going to be the Grim Neigh boost, you can give yourself those boosts manually with the nasty plot. So on both sides, actually, we have Calyrex Shadow Riders that are very capable of being able to boost up their own special attack and try to deal out damage that way. But it's about what Shohei has actually ended up piecing around this team that makes it so interesting. Instead of an Assault Vest Rillaboom like Adam has, this one actually has Clear Amulet. Despite that, no Protect, so not really a way that it's going to be able to keep itself safe, but you've got some very powerful attacks alongside that.
And I love the Amoonguss as well, the adaptations here. We've often seen Amoonguss running something like the Rocky Helmet to be a nice switch in for the Surging Strikes of Urshifu, but this one's actually running running the mental herb, being able to resist any taunts for one turn, which is exactly what Adam has adapted onto his own Urshifu here, dropping Aqua Jet for taunt to try and shut down Trick Room, Grimmsnarls, all those Amoonguses.
But that Rocky Helmet is actually still on the team. It just so happens to be on the Incineroar for both of our trainers. So it's still available, but I think what's really fantastic about the Urshifus is the fact that they are Stellar Terra. I mean, that is something we'll get into a little bit more as we look towards our very first game of this best of 3 set. But the Stellar Terra is going to be boosting up that first move of type that is used once that Urshifu is terastallized. Let's go, though, Lou. We're about to get into things for our very first match of the 2024 Pokemon World Championships between Adam Shirafui and Shohei Kimura.
Let's see the sparks fly on that battlefield as we kick off the Pokemon World Championships 2024. Out here on the field for Adam, it is the Calyrex Shadow Rider paired up with that Rillaboom. And on the opposing side, a tried and tested duo in the form of that Incineroar and the Amoonguss. There's a lot of fake-out potential on the field right now.
There is. We have the Rillaboom and the Incineroar that are both going to be packing that move, but it's going to be that Rillaboom that's going to be taking that attack drop there from the Incineroar's Intimidate on the other side. Right away, though, the fact that Adam is led with the Shadow Rider Calyrex, he has a lot of options on the table to just kind of bully through these Pokemon on Shohei's side with pure offense.
And I think as well, you want to try and remove that Amoonguss from play before it can maybe go for some spores and start slowing down the Pokemon in your team. So I wouldn't be surprised to see that being the target here. Something like maybe even just a big damage coming through from an Astral Barrage. Terrestrialization coming straight out on the field. This is what we want to see, some sparkling in the arena as the Calyrex Shadow Rider goes into Terra Fairy here.
The Terra Fairy is going to be so nice because Shohei's Incineroar actually does have knockoff. It's not going to be carrying a fire-type attack like we normally see with something like the Flare Blitz. And so this Terra Fairy is going to be a very nice way to be able to protect itself there as Adam starts to get set up here with those Calm Mind boosts. Knows that the endgame right now could be Shadow Rider Calyrex versus Shadow Rider Calyrex.
Honestly, love to see this. The Parting Shot comes through. We'll be able to lower those drops here, but the synergy support from that Rillaboom, making sure that the Calyrex is in a safe position to get that Calm Mind off, doesn't have to worry about a potential spore, as well as the fact that the Fairy Terra supports it against that Incineroar. The one nice thing for Shohei here is you have the utility to pivot something in. You've intimidated the Rillaboom, and now you can bring the Rillaboom of your very own in to now apply some pressure.
And now that you're not a Ghost type, you are vulnerable to Fake Out. That is a move that this Rillaboom has that you could be able to help actually try to get that Fake Out. But that would be nice if there weren't for that Clover Cloak, and that's why Adam has made the adjustment to have a little bit more of a defensive item rather than an offensive component.
It's definitely a good trick to have up your sleeve in a meta where we do have a lot of Fake Out on the field, particularly if you do, as you've said, have to give up your Ghost typing. You don't want to leave yourself vulnerable.
Absolutely. So no Fake Out on the field here to try to shut down the Shadow Rider Calyrex, but that is not the same for the Rillaboom across the way. There's no Fake Out though. It's just going to go for some type of attack as we see the Astral Barrage hit into both of these Pokemon. But thanks to that drop that we ended up seeing there from that Parting Shot actually did help this Rillaboom survive up until the point that it got knocked out to the U-turn.
Yeah, Rillaboom doesn't do many things better than Revenge, but it got intimidated, so it's like, I'm going to do a critical hit here with this U-turn and be able to KO the opposing Rillaboom while also enabling a little bit of pivoting on my trainer's side. You can see the Pokemon in the back here for Adam, bringing Pokemon in like the Roaring Moon that's going to have the potential to, you know, help balance out a mirror match as we're seeing here, as well as a powerhouse like that Urshifu. He's taking his time to think about it though.
Yes, I mean, because that's the thing, right? You really want this Roaring Moon on the other side of something like that Shadow Rider Calyrex, just to know that you're not going to end up wasting a booster energy as well. We don't know what that's going to end up amplifying because we could see an attack or a speed, but look at the Spore. Urshifu, kind of like an unfortunate target for that, knowing that maybe Shohei was kind of thinking that this Rillaboom was actually going to disappear from the field. What a call.
Yeah, really nice to be able to catch that there, because that could have gone very sideways if the Rillaboom decided to stay in play, but it now allows Shohei to bring the Calyrex Shadow Rider on his side of the field into fruition here. One of the interesting things now is when you take a look at the Calyrex Shadow Rider on Adam's side, it's not going to be able to KO the Amoonguss this turn with another Astral Barrage, which must be tempting to go into with the Calyrex on the field on Shohei's side.
It is, but Adam is just going to remove this Urshifu from the field and not going to try to get these wake-up turns starting to stack up. Instead, going to switch in this Roaring Moon, which we can get a chance to see what this booster energy is going to give a boost to, and it should be the speed that we are seeing here for this Roaring Moon.
Yes, and this is what Adam needs here to be able to apply a lot of pressure. You can go for something like the Tailwind, you know, in the next turn once Roaring Moon's allowed to move and get the speed boost up, or you can always go for your boosted Acrobatics now that you've lost your item and try and remove this Amoonguss cards from play. The Dark Terrestrialization, though, very interesting onto that opposing Shadow Rider Calyrex. That's something that the Draining Kiss is going to be eyeing up.
It would absolutely do that, but I think it's going to be a great call because know that you might actually be able to survive that based on how you're trained, which provides a Shohei this perfect opportunity to go for the nasty plot here. That's going to be +2 to this Shadow Rider Calyrex's special attack on his side.
This is where things get very interesting, though, because we don't know exactly how these Calyrexes are going to match up in terms of speed. Depending if that speed boost is enough for the Roaring Moon, it could always try and get a Tailwind up and kind of remove the fear of which Calyrex is going to go first and then apply a huge amount of damage.
You can see why this Dark Terra is so good just to go for it regardless, because you know that this Roaring Moon also has a super effective Dark type attack with that knockoff, so you just want to make sure that you are terrestrializing in a defensive way to also make sure that you can withstand one of those attacks.
But the Nasty Plot boost will be huge damage out here on the field. We're actually going to see Amoonguss use its Regenerator ability to get a little bit of HP back, come back onto the field a little bit later on to threaten on the field as the Incineroar throwing another Intimidate down. This is nice against that opposing Roaring Moon, but of course we know that the Calyrex isn't going to worry about that at all.
No, but that is going to help with this knockoff as you go into the Incineroar. Take a look at that. It should be doing more damage knowing that this Incineroar is actually holding an item. And that is such a little amount of damage. So the Incineroar able to tank that, also provide that attack drop. And now this is time for this Shadow Rider Calyrex and Shohei side to go. That is an Astral Barrage into both targets, not necessarily securing a knockout. But you can see here on the return of this, that's very little damage.
Yes, the defensive Terra type really working out there for Shohei. I have to say, though, the Roaring Moon going first in that match, very interesting to see the speed comes through. But as you mentioned as well, a little damage from that knockoff thanks to the Intimidate. And now that you also do not have a Ghost Calyrex opposing you, that knockoff is really not going to be doing too much. If I was Adam now, I'd probably be thinking, hey, my Roaring Moon isn't dealing damage, let's use it for some support. Get a Tailwind up, ensure that my Calyrex is going to be able to outspeed and try and get some damage. But even then, the Calyrex is underwhelming in the pressure it's giving out.
I mean, you really want to try to get these Calm Mind boosts up. At the very least, you know that your special defense is going to be a little bit bolstered, but because of that parting shot earlier, you're still at a neutral special attack, not able to secure a knockout. Means that you also aren't able to get that engine up and running to snowball that special attack stat.
You want to get the Grimnaze rolling through, and it looks like Shohei might be within range of getting one in this particular turn. A defensive play by the Roaring Moon as the Amoonguss joined the field here, so the Protect coming through as the Protect come through as well. Adam playing very defensively this turn.
Yeah, you saw Shohei actually go for a little bit of a pop-off here. Was kind of hoping maybe that he'd be able to get some type of attack off onto this Shadow Rider Calyrex, but unfortunately not going to be able to do the job just yet. This Amoonguss still being on the field is so problematic. There isn't really a great way for Adam to remove it at the moment. Maybe the acrobatics from this Roaring Moon could help out just to be able to deal that super effective damage, knowing that the Terra has already been used on Shohei's side, but that Intimidate, is it really going to be able to do enough here?
You're going to need another critical hit, I think, to be able to get through that Amoonguss, particularly at full health. And you also have the utility of your Shohei just to switch in the Incineroar again later and throw another Intimidate down. Amoonguss doing what it does best, be providing a little bit of protection, going for that Rage Powder and drawing in all of these attacks. But no, Roaring Moon going, I'm not targeting you, I'm going for the Tailwind. Let's get the speed on my side and see what my partner can do.
But you can see why this is so effective, because you do actually have that Draining Kiss heading into the Amoonguss, so the Rage Powder able to redirect it away from a super effective hit into that Dark Terra Shadow Rider Calyrex as Shohei continues to go all out on the offense at a +2 special attack. There's plenty to get a double knockout. That's going to be a sharp special attack increase. That's a +4 for this Shadow Rider Calyrex on Shohei's side.
This Calyrex is mean on Shohei's side. It's got all the boosts, all the damage, and it's got the support. The one thing Adam has got going, though, is that Tailwind support, but whether it's going to be enough.
Well, I don't think it can be. You've got the Urshifu.
How do you stop it?
It hasn't been able to take one of its mandatory turns, so there's no opportunity for it to actually wake up on this next turn that it hits the field. You are able to buy yourself a little bit of time. You do have the Fake Out here from this Rillaboom that could help, and you do have the Assault Vest. So there is going to be a little bit of defensive capability from this Rillaboom to try to withstand some of these Astral Barrage, but you're +4.
The Assault Vest, I think, is going to be null and void at this point. The thing as well is you've got the Urshifu. You might love to be able to go for a close combat into that Dark-type Calyrex here, but you have to worry about the Amoonguss. You can't even taunt it because you have to taunt it twice to be able to shut down its redirectional support with Rage Powder. Particularly when Incineroar just keeps doing the hokey pokey and getting in and out here and throwing these Intimidates down against these physical attackers. Urshifu taking a nap. Wake up, it's Worlds!
Wake up, it is Worlds. That Wood Hammer, though, it's going to take one more of those to be able to actually get the damage down onto the Shadow Rider Calyrex, knock it out. But before it's able to do that, it's going to have to take this before Barrage. It is just going to be a one-hit knockout there onto that Rillaboom, essentially, with the Focus Sash allowing this Urshifu to hang on. But now this Incineroar is freshly on the field. There's another fake out in hand. And Shohei is going to shore up this very first game of this best of 3.
Honestly, how many boosts does this Calyrex want to be able to get right now? I think if you're the opponent,
6?
you're going to be haunted by this image forever. Definitely a way for Shohei to kick off the tournament. And Adam knowing, hey, game 1's over. Let's reset, let's focus, and go to game 2.
Yes. Wow, what a phenomenal performance though there by Shohei.
Yeah.
It was tough because at the very beginning, you take a look at Adam being able to get that calm mindset up early on by that Shadow Rider Calyrex. Feels like it's going to have a little bit more staying power with that special defense boost and the special attack as well. Okay, if you're able to stack up a couple more of those, then maybe you really have a good thing going for you.
I agree. I think the way that Adam was able to kind of get that calm mind up, put him into a good position, but Shohei just read him like a book, was able to go for that parting shot, not only then kind of negate the attack boost that it got, but then allow more pivoting in and out, particularly when it went for the Terra Fairy. It was then susceptible to, you know, some damage coming through as well. I think for me, the key thing is that Dark Terror on Shohei's Calyrex, because that meant that it was just so resistant to a lot of the damage that the Calyrex on Adam's side was putting through. Yes, he could go for the Draining Kiss, but just due to the low impact it was dealing out, I think you're going to have to do at least 2 to be able to get that knockout.
That's the thing, right? Is it's important to keep in mind that the base power of Draining Kiss is still very low.
Yeah.
And a lot of the instances that we've been able to see a Terra Fairy Shadow Rider Calyrex actually get a big knockout with Draining Kiss, it's already had a couple of special attack boosts stacked up to be able to try to get a knockout like that. So I think it's gonna be tough. Shohei was ready for that calm mind. You saw the parting shot immediately. That was a great way to pivot out the Incineroar, also keeping that special attack stat in check, and allowed Shohei the opportunity to actually get his own out on the field. He had that nasty plot. He knew exactly when to be able to position that Shadow Rider Calyrex so he could get the nasty plot and just get more boosts.
Yep, and as you saw there as well, I think the Amoonguss was instrumental in that game 1. Getting the Spore down onto what was the Rillaboom slot and being able to catch that Urshifu just meant one of the big powerhouses on Adam's side was completely null and void. And you needed that close combat to be able to deal with the opposing Shadow Rider Calyrex, which is not something you say every day, considering it's traditionally a ghost type. But being able to apply that pressure, even with something like the Surging Strikes, would have been really, really nice. My question, however, yes, you got to get through the Calyrex, but how are you getting through this Amoonguss? I think you really have to rely on the Warring Moon and not allow it to get intimidated, because when the acrobatics is boosted up, once you lose the booster energy, you're able to deal a significant amount of damage because the damage increases without the item, right? And you do have the Terra flying on there as well to give it the extra boost. But are you ready to commit your Terra to that Roaring Moon? Is it worth it?
I think that's the question. We saw with the Tailwind that the Tailwind was plenty for a lot of the pieces on Adam's team to actually be faster than the Shadow Rider Calyrex on Shohei's side. That's very important to consider, especially when it came down to like the Rillaboom's Wood Hammer. It's still going to be a pretty offensive piece, especially if you can get that Wood Hammer down with that same type of attack bonus damage on grassy terrain. A lot of those modifiers are going to add up so you can actually start whacking away at some of this like big tanky damage and energy coming out from Shohei's team. But on the other side of things, where do you actually put that Roaring Moon in?
I would like to see it earlier rather than later so it can apply the pressure it needs, but
Tailwind's up.
That's true. Let's see what's coming out on the field. And it looks a little familiar here, Rosemary. We've got Incineroar and the Calyrex Shadow Rider out on the field for both these trainers.
It is looking like looking in a mirror.
Oh yeah, quite literally. They're even like matched across the field here. But you start to see the abilities coming through as well. The Intimidate's coming through. That's only really going to be able to affect the opposing Incineroars. And I wonder now if these Calyrexes are going to want to stay unterrestrialized.
I think it's really important to note the order of which these Intimidates actually go through. Adams ending up getting those Intimidates out first. It does seem like maybe that Incineroar is going to be a bit faster. So is that knowledge that Shohei is concerned about when kind of looking at, okay, well, where could Fake Out come through? Adams would be faster if you do try to fake out the Incineroar on the opposing side.
I'd be almost tempted if I was Adam to just go for a parting shot here to just try and reduce the potential nasty plot coming through from the opposing side, particularly if it does want to terrestrialize, because if it goes into that Dark Terror, I really do not see a lot that Adam's Pokemon on the field right now can do to deal damage, other than the Draining Kiss, I guess.
Well, the Draining Kiss is nice too, because that secondary effect is that you restore some of the HP from the damage that you're dealt out. So maybe you are able to, after one Calm Mind or something, be able to try to outpace the damage that Shohei is putting on the field.
Exactly, and we're going to see the Beautiful and bejeweled Calyrex Shadow Rider on the field once again, going for that Dark Terror, making sure that it's not going to be taking super effective damage from an Astral Barrage here, wanting to make sure it's got its defensive capabilities in play to maybe go for one of those nasty plots, but it's going to be Sparkles all around, Rose.
It is, because that's going to be yet another terrestrialization onto Adams, and based on the terrestrialization, we can also get more confirmation that Shohei's Shadow Rider is faster. Yes, that's going to be the first to terrestrialize. We've also seen that move before Adams, and here's the nasty plot. We're going to get a lot of setup.
Not only does it look faster, but it looks pretty ferocious to me. It's setups on both sides here. The Calm Mind coming through on Adams here, making sure that special defense and special attack are boosted up. Really, really interesting to see if the Incineroars, yes, they are going to be able to follow the speed of the Intimidates here. So the parting shot comes through on Adam's side. I wonder if it's going to be a parting shot on the opposing side as well.
I think it would be a fantastic choice for Shohei to have made. Yeah. I expect that you're going to be doing some type of setup, then maybe you are predicting that Adam is trying to go for the same thing, and it would allow you to just make sure that you are keeping that opposing Shadow Rider Calyrex's stats in check. You'd be the only one with a boost in that case.
Exactly, and it's interesting to see, you know, which Pokemon are going to come through here, because that Roaring Moon is primed to try and come out and set that Tailwind up so that your Calyrex Shadow Rider is able to gain that speed advantage here in this mirror. You don't currently have to worry about an Amoonguss on the field, so you're going to be able to, you know, just focus in on supporting the Calyrex rather than having to deal out the damage. And there's the speed boost again from the booster energy.
Yep, and it is going to be a parting shot. So mirrored turns sort of on the same side, but what the Shohei actually tried to bring out to take this Incineroar's place. The fact that Adams was first, you now get a good idea of like, okay, well, I know there's a Roaring Moon.
Yes.
So how am I going to be able to counter that? I ended up bringing the Rillaboom in the last game, I want to say, that does have the fake out. Oh no, the Amoonguss, sorry. There was a grass type. I just had the wrong
They were
one.
both there. They were both there.
Yeah.
But I think the Amoonguss could be the really pivotal Pokemon here, being able to go for something like the redirection and draw in a potential Draining Kiss. But it is going to be that Rillaboom.
Rillaboom here makes a lot of sense. Now you have the opportunity to actually fake something out. You think that this Roaring Moon is going to be more of the problem, you could go for that, but you have to keep in mind that both of Adam's Pokemon on the field right now do have the opportunity and option to go for Protect.
Yes, be able to go for a defensive play, and we know that Adam isn't afraid of doing that. It's whether Shohei wants to read into that, make a really bold play, and go for something like a Nasty Claw, but he doesn't need to. He's got the momentum right now. You could always just try and get some damage on the board with something like the Astral Barrage. Just try and get these Pokemon into a prime position to be KO'd, maybe even with a Grimnay boost. But you can also allow your Rillaboom to shine. There's no fake out coming through. The acrobatics comes through, not enough to be able to get the knockout, however, as the Astral Barrage from Shohei's is going to come through, connect on both the opposing Pokemon. No KO though, but of course the Calyrex Shadow Rider is not going to be able to take another one of those in the next turn.
No, but I mean, the fact that we do see this Astral Barrage in return with the Rillaboom already taking as much damage as it has, we're not going to be able to see what move it is going for in this turn. It just gets knocked out for all of its troubles, and because of how low it was, it's actually going to give over a Grimnay boost to Adams. So we're kind of back up on par here, +1 for both of these Shadow Rider Calyrex's special attack.
In both games 1 and 2, Adam has very kind of cleanly been able to remove the Rillaboom on the opposing side from the field. Shohei's Rillaboom really hasn't done much other than set up the terrain. The interesting thing in this next turn, we know that that Roaring Moon is faster. It can go for a Tailwind, try and get some speed up on Adam's side of the field, enabling that Calyrex Shadow Rider with its new Grimnay boost to be able to put some pressure onto the field. Maybe even get in range of a KO. But I think due to the Dark typing, it's going to be really difficult. Maybe a Draining Kiss here, particularly with the Terra Fairy boosting up those Fairy type moves, you might be able to just get the knockout. But if an Amoonguss comes into that slot, the redirection is going to really put a thorn in your side.
Yeah, you're very close though to whether Adams actually even gets a chance to move. That was a lot of damage that came there from the Astral Barrage, just about half. So it could be a bit of a roll, maybe. And I don't even think you're particularly worried about... I think actually if you're Shohei, you're not particularly worried about the amount of HP that this Shadow Rider Calyrex has. Despite the fact you might not actually be able to flinch the target, you're still faster. You could end up going for something like a fake out into the Shadow Rider Calyrex if you predict that maybe this Roaring Moon is not going to actually try to go for Tailwind.
You know what I like is the Incineroar on Shohei's side is running Helping Hand. That could potentially be what the Calyrex needs to be able to get the knockout on the opposing side. But not today on the Calyrex on Adam's side. It has gone for the Protect. The Fake Out actually going down into the Roaring Moon, allowing the Calyrex on Shohei's side to try and go for another one of these Astral Barrages.
Oh, the Roaring Moon. We saw how much it took that turn prior. It does not have any additional boost on Shohei's side, but it's not actually going to be enough to secure the knockout onto this Roaring Moon. That Protect, though, is going to be very beneficial for the Shadow Rider Calyrex to get a little bit of extra terrain Drain healing. So maybe you're a little bit more confident if you're Adam that you would survive another Astral Barrage.
I think if it's a regular Astral Barrage, fine. Yes, Adam's Calyrex is going to be able to hang on there. But if there is the potential for that helping hand, that's where the momentum could really swing in Shohei's favor, particularly as we know that Calyrex Shadow Rider is currently the faster at the moment. It all depends if Roaring Moon wants to go for that Tailwind and try and even the score.
Adam is a very big decision to make here, though. Do you try to go for another Calm Mind to see if you can actually try to withstand this Astral Barrage with the helping hand with something like the Tailwind? Oh, there's actually
opportunity
here.
Yeah, this is a big opportunity here for Adam. Whether he's going to be able to capitalize on it, let's see. The Tailwind is in place, so the speed is on Adam's side. But whether you can get that special defense and the special attack boost out with the Calm Mind, it is now in play. Incineroar might go for a parting shot, might try and bring down the special attack, but that special defense is staying where it's at, boosted.
Yeah, even though you do see that parting shot come through, you are able to continue to mitigate some of the Shadow Rider Calyrex's special attack. You still have to deal with the fact that it's under Tailwind now.
Yeah.
It is going to be faster than you. That Roaring Moon also going to be faster. And there's no additional option here for Fake Out that Shohei can switch in. That Rillaboom has already gone down. So what is going to be this fourth and final Pokemon for Shohei in this game too?
Going to be good information for Adam so he can pivot the Pokemon around to see which formidable threat is there. It's got to be something to support this Shadow Rider Calyrex. And it's going to be that Amoonguss. It has the potential to go for these Rage Powders, draw in some attacks. Obviously, we know the Roaring Moon's been intimidated and it's kind of on its last legs. Another Astral Barrage will be able to KO it. But the Calyrex Shadow Rider on Adam's side, if you go for the Astral Barrage, that's going to deal some decent damage, but I don't think it's getting the knockout into the opposing Calyrex here.
No, I mean it's gonna be really close, right? Maybe this Amoonguss is able to hang on through something, but it's just a protect from the Amoonguss. And because it's slower, there's actually not going to be a protect coming through from this Shadow Rider Calyrex. Predicting that this Acrobatics from the Roaring Moon was trying to target down this Amoonguss, but can this Astral Barrage actually do it? Shohei is banking on the fact that it will not, as the Astral Barrage +1 is not going to be enough, not nearly enough to secure the knockout. So an Astral Barrage in return, we know it should not be able to knock out this Shadow Rider Calyrex with those +2 Calm Mind boosts, but it's enough to get this Roaring Moon and yet another special attack boost with that Grimnay.
This is the thing, Roaring Moon did its job in terms of setting up the Tailwind, but by going down, you give the Grimnay boost to the opposing Calyrex. That's going to make things a little bit more difficult. Even if you have +2 special defense, it's still going to hurt coming through with the boosts. And how do you deal with the Amoonguss? Amoonguss is sitting on the field, very pretty, full HP. You have the Incineroar. That is one way to be able to try and deal with it. You could always go for something like the Flare Blitz here, but there's still the Incineroar in the back for Shohei as well that can apply Intimidate and make it more difficult for the Incineroar on Adam's side.
Yeah, it's also important to note, though, too, that we do actually have kind of like a difference in strategy here from Adam. He ended up opting to leave the Urshifu at home. That would have been really nice just to have as an extra.
Still nothing, Rosemary.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little too early for that Urshifu at the moment.
But you're right, though. It's such a key physical attacker, and having that close combat would be really, really nice. But when you have the support of something like the Amoonguss, it makes it very difficult for Urshifu to shine. So some really nice adjustments here. Adjustments on the field, actually, getting rid of those boosts and going, I need to intimidate this opposing Incineroar. And that's exactly what Shohei is doing, knowing that the Calyrex Shadow Rider, and when Tailwind is ended, can come back and be formidable. But here we go, the Astral Barrage, decent damage into the Amoonguss. Another one will KO.
Yeah, that's the other thing, right? Is that you do have the opportunity to go for Rage Powder, but the fact that Astral Barrage is that spread attack, you know your own Shadow Rider is not going to be able to withstand that. So instead, you get rid of the boost. It's a very big risk to take, but you are hopeful that the Tailwind is going to expire. But the Amoonguss, getting knocked out for its troubles does mean that Shohei is on his final 2 Pokemon for this game too.
I like that, though. You've dealt with the Amoonguss, it's gone. You're now forcing the Calyrex Shadow Rider, the last 2 remaining Pokemon on Shohei's side, to come back into the field. And it has had to forego its boosts here at this point as well. That nasty plot, the Grimnay, is gone.
It is gone, and it is still a pretty bulky Pokemon, though. So if you're worried a little bit about this Incineroar, maybe you're still able to survive a Flare Blitz, but there's still one more turn of Tailwind. A little bit predictable, I think. Maybe Shohei, knowing that he might have to go for something like a Protect on this Calyrex, try to get the speed back in his favor. But the Incineroar here still is able to try to get a little bit of stuff done. Shohei's Incineroar does have a knockoff. It has the Helping Hand again, like you mentioned. So Helping Hand at the end of the day might still be beneficial, but Shohei being on his last 2 Pokemon here, is a very tough ask as you take a look at this Rillaboom in the back coming in with full HP.
Yeah, bringing that terrain back to the field as well to help out the Calyrex and apply something like the fake out pressure going into the next turn, because I think Shohei might protect it, exactly what we're seeing, stall out the last turn of Tailwind and allow your Calyrex to be faster, but then the fake out in the next turn is going to be able to stop it in its tracks. Here comes through another Astral Barrage, obviously only going to be able to target down into that opposing Incineroar, do a little bit of damage, but a little is a lot at this point, because another one of those, particularly paired up with anything that Rillaboom wants to throw through, is going to be able to get the knockout on that opposing Incineroar.
It all adds up. Even just a little bit of chip damage coming through from the knockoff, it does remove this Covert Cloak. Not really a big deal anymore in this matchup because you don't have Fake Out available anymore or any other sort of
secondary
effects,
through.
Right? Exactly.
I mean, looking at this right now, yes, it kind of looks telegraphed. You can put the fake out down into that opposing Calyrex Shadow Rider, go for another Astral Barrage. The Incineroar on Shohei's side doesn't have Protect either, so it's going to have to take the full brunt force of one of these attacks. Looks like the double Protect failed there on the opposing side as the fake out comes through, connects, and stops it in its tracks. The double damage coming through here, targeting on both Pokemon, going to be able to get a knockout on the Calyrex, and then it's just a matter of time for the little kitty cat.
It's not going to be able to get through all of this. There's no Flare Blitz on Shohei's Incineroar, so no way to hit this Rillaboom for super effective damage. And even if you are able to go for a knockoff here, still just not quite enough to distribute that damage across the board. So that is 1-1. We are going into a game number 3 here for our very first match of the 2024 Pokemon World Championships.
That makes it very exciting. It shows the absolute mastery caliber of play from these trainers, particularly the way Adam was able to adapt in that game too. Shohei locking on the forfeit, saying, let's go to a game 3 and see who is going to win this set.
Wow, great adjustment there from Adam, leaving the Urshifu at home. Meant that he just had so much more opportunity to try to weave in those fake outs, make sure that you can get those Intimidate drops. A lot more pivoting potential as well with something like the Parting Shot as well as the U-turn, which in tandem kind of follows a very similar vein of strategy that Shohei was going for as well, bringing his own Rillaboom into this game number 2.
Yes, unfortunately for Shohei though, the Rillaboom hasn't really done a lot. It's not able to get a lot of offensive pressure on the field. The offensive pressure is really coming from the Calyrexes. As you can see here, getting those boosts up very early doors in this game too just meant that you had to rely on the Incineroars going for these parting shots to try and negate some of that pressure onto the field. The Astral Barrage not only dealing a huge amount of damage but also hitting both Pokemon on the opposing side leaves very little room for error here.
Really does. And this particular moment as well, when you actually end up seeing this Protect come through from the Calyrex, I know you're trying to make sure that you are not going to be taking too much damage from something like this Shadow Rider Calyrex on the other side. You see Shohei just kind of like, you know, he cringed a little bit. He's like, oh, this is definitely not what I wanted to see. Another Calm Mind boost meant that Adams was starting to get out of hand.
But I love that. Adam playing, you know, a bold choice to go for a second setup in a match, but capitalizing so well on Shohei's defensive play. And also, I think, in the end game, bringing in the Rillaboom right at the end, going, hey, you're going to play defensively again. You're going to protect on the last turn of Tailwind. I got your number here. I'm bringing in my fake outer so that I can make these adaptations. And I really loved seeing that come through. If we focus a little bit onto game 3, both these trainers have kind of obviously brought their restrictors, they've brought some really big support. Shohei in the form of that Incineroar, but also critically the Amoonguss. In game 2, Adam was able to play around that Amoonguss a little bit better, being able to already have kind of your stacked, boosted Calyrex with the Astral Barrage, dealing a significant amount on the field.
It did, and then Amoonguss not being able to put something to sleep, you could also feel just how pivotal in that game number 1 that score really was. Just completely removing a piece from the field meant that you just had so much more room to operate with in terms of getting your own nasty pots, just dishing out that damage. The Amoonguss staying alive a little bit longer to get the regenerator, make sure that you're actually cycling through those eliminates. And we'll see how either of these players decides to adjust. For Shohei, it is going to be an adjustment of leaving the Incineroar either on the bench or in the back, and this Amoonguss now on the field instead. Adam trying to go back through with that game 2 game plan.
I love this coming out from Shohei here, knowing that the Amoonguss was so disruptive in game 1, let's bring it out front and center to already get up to some shenanigans. You could try and go for some redirection here, you can just try and support your opposing Calyrex, but the Incineroar, a really nice play coming in here for Adam. It's almost forcing Shohei to have to go for the Terra Dark or a Protect onto his own Calyrex to stop the Calyrex on Adam's side going for a free Astral Barrage here.
But do you continue, you know, what do you want to try to do something a little bit different? You could go for the Parting Shot in the same way, but you know the Amoonguss also has the opportunity to just Rage Powder away from that. There isn't actually a Grass Terra available from either of these Pokemon. Incineroar for Adam is going to have a Terra Water. So there is not really a great way to actually try to get around the Rage Powder or the Spores.
Exactly, and you kind of want to think maybe if that Calyrex Shadow Rider that likes to go for those nasty plots wants to also go for the Terra Dark, you could even catch it with a cheeky fake out, but it's not to be. It's leaving the field here for Shohei. Going to be nice and protected in the back where it will have its time to shine, and instead is replaced with the intimidating Incineroar. Again, going to be weakening the offensive pressure on the opposing Incineroar, but also allowing Amoonguss to have a little bit more flexibility.
And it's also able to resist the Astral Barrages.
Yes,
if you're
exactly.
expecting that to come through from the Shadow Roar Calyrex, and it's another way that you're able to try to withstand some of that offense. But as we've seen from Adam in the game number 1 and game number 2, he's wanted to try to get those Calm Mind boosts up right away for this Shadow Rider.
But there's the fake out going down into what was the Calyrex Shadow Rider, going to be kind of null and void into the switching in Incineroar as the Calm Mind does go up. This is risky. The Amoonguss has the potential to go for a Spore and just kind of shut down this opposing Pokemon.
And if it does, that would be absolutely huge. The Spore goes into the Shadow Rider Calyrex from Adam. And even though you're able to get that Calm Mind boost up, it's immediately put to sleep.
At least it's going to be able to get its turns in early when the opposing Calyrex isn't on the field. You have the Incineroar now. You're a Fairy type, so you don't have to worry so much about things like the knockoff coming through. We saw what negligible damage that was able to deal before. But then if you do lose your Covert Cloak, that's where Fake Out can kind of roll into the match as it goes through. If I was these trainers right now, if I was Adam, I'd want to try and find a way to get rid of this Amoonguss as fast as possible. You have to kind of rely on your Incineroar, but again, Incineroar in a position where it can be put to sleep in this turn as well if it doesn't want to get off the field, but there's no safe switch-in other than potentially a Rillaboom.
Even then, right? Do you really want to put yourself in a position where you're sort of off cadence? Is the Rillaboom okay in that position when you think that maybe there's a Shadow Rider Calyrex waiting in the wings to just peek its head back out before the Shadow Rider can wake up on Adam's side? But it is going to be the Rillaboom. You don't want to let another Pokemon go to bed. It is too early for that in this World Championships, and you got to make sure that the Shadow Rider wakes up. There's the mandatory turn. Try to get it out of here, but the parting shot into that slot is also going to make sure that Shohei can get another pivot in.
Yep, insult to injury here as the Incineroar able to get off the field. It's not running Flare Blitz, so it's not something that could really apply pressure to that opposing Rillaboom. So it's nice here for Shohei to adjust things, bring in a Pokemon that can apply some offensive pressure and maybe even capitalize on the fact that this opposing Calyrex hasn't been allowed its boost, and you now are in a position where you can start dealing out some big damage. Particularly if it keeps sleeping, you could go for another nasty plot here.
You could, but this Calyrex is just going to continue to wait back there. It's going to be the Rillaboom once again here for Shohei. It's the adjustment that we saw in game number 2. But this time around, when you take a look at the Rillaboom, you know that it has U-turn. You can actually just try to get some super effective damage down into the Rillaboom on the other side. Unfortunately, it is just going to be the fake out into that slot, so we don't get a chance to see it. But the wake up here from this Shadow Rider on Adams is going to get the double damage down into both of these Pokemon. There's no Assault Vest here on Shohei's Rillaboom. Try to withstand that, but the Sludge Bomb just whittle away at this Fairy type Shadow Rider.
It can whittle away, but it's even though it's super effective, it's not dealing a monumental bit of damage, particularly with the grassy terrain on the field, being able to allow the Calyrex Shadow Rider to regroup a little bit. The issue is, however, can the Calyrex Shadow Rider do anything before the opposing Amoonguss is able to put it back to sleep here?
Yes, with the amount of damage that has come through so far, not necessarily. So Protect that we see Adam hovering over would be a great way to be able to protect himself from that. Rillaboom just leaves the field, though.
I think it has to.
Yes, Incineroar. You can bring that back in. Got the Intimidate drop down onto the Rillaboom once again. Kind of force Adam into this game of chicken. Do you want to try to get this Rillaboom off the field? Try to reset those Intimidate drops and leave something else a bit more vulnerable.
Shohei really looks in the driving seat now, though, because yes, the Rillaboom's going to get off the field. It's intimidated, so the U-turn really doesn't do too much. And you have just protected your new Calyrex Shadow Rider that has dropped its Ghost typing. So a fake out from the opposing Incineroar may be able to come through once you knock it off as well with the knockoff, obviously, on the Incineroar, just removing that Covert Cloak from play. The Rillaboom on Shohei's side, sitting in a very vulnerable spot. You've already mentioned a lot about how the Assault Vest isn't in play, so it makes it very difficult for that Rillaboom to have longevity on the field. Spore coming through, Amoonguss doing what it does best, just trying to shut down this opposing Calyrex. And this is what I like from Adam here. You brought the Incineroar on, you could choose your fake-out target here. I think if you're going to shut down that opposing Amoonguss, that would be best. You don't want a Spore, and you can maybe allow that Calm Mind to come through.
Good. Or you can even just potentially secure the knockout with something like that Astral Barrage. At this point, I think it would be a little bit too close for comfort. So Adam opting to try to get in a bit more of that special defense capability for that Shadow Rider. It's a full HP. There's also no Terra yet used on Shohei's side. I think that's a very important distinction between the first two games that we saw. You
Yes, because he got that Calyrex out there right at the beginning of this game 3, unlike the previous turns. The fake out going down into that pesky little mushroom there. As the fake out comes through on the opposing Incineroar as well into this. Oh, no, it's actually the knockoff, getting rid of the item there. Calm Mind is coming through. This is what Adam likes to do with this Calyrex, just trying to negate a potential parting shot. Particularly as there wasn't one in this particular turn, this boost is going to be in play going into the next turn as well. So you're right here, Rosemary. Going for something like the Astral Barrage could really put a threat on the potential of that Amoonguss.
It's such a tough call though, right? Shohei is considering maybe I can just go for the fake out. I think that would at least be doing a little bit. If I'm lucky, I'm able to get the fake out into the Incineroar, but there was also the play that could have parting shot in that turn. Very, very tough call to make. Fortunately, going to go for the fake out. It's going to be a very moot turn here for Shohei as you look at the Amoonguss and Incineroar.
Yes, I think the Incineroar on Shohei's side is in a very interesting spot here because you could always potentially, you know, switch it out, bring the Rillaboom in and just kind of, I don't know, let it go down to be able to bring and Intimidate back in later on. But it's all about this Calyrex right now. Being able to go for this Astral Barrage, not going to be able to get any damage down onto the opposing Amoonguss as you're able to connect down onto the Incineroar. Significant chunk of damage, but really not putting it in the danger zone as the Incineroar on Adam's side decides to, you know, make a little bit of a switch, pivot things around. The Amoonguss on Shohei's side, I'm not going to lie, I would not be surprised to see that leave the field, get a little bit more HP back with its Regenerator ability, and rejoin a little bit later on. But it's what you're going to do in its place.
No fourth Pokemon revealed to Shohei yet from Adam. We can see what is in the back here, but you're always looking for an opportunity to actually get that piece in at the right moment. A parting shot here from Shohei's Incineroar is going to allow it to pivot off of the field while also dropping that special attack stat here from this Shadow Rider. There's a couple of options. Like, as you said, you could bring in the Rillaboom if you wanted. You do have the opportunity to go for fake out into the other slot. But I think it's time, yeah, bring back out the Shadow Rider. I think you're okay knowing that there isn't actually going to be something on the other side that's going to do super effective damage to something like the Terra.
Also, the speeds haven't been altered here by a tailwind from the Roaring Moon. So if you're Shohei, you're going to be pretty confident that your Calyrex is going to be in a prime position to start getting some damage on the board. Particularly when you've got the Amoonguss there, you can always try a little bit of redirectional support and allow a Nasty Plot to go up. But the issue is, if you are the Rillaboom just joining here on the field, you could always try and go for the fake out into that opposing Amoonguss and once again protect your Calyrex. But Amoonguss getting out of there going, I need to regenerate some HP. And also maybe if you're bringing in a Pokemon from the back like the Incineroar, you can throw down that Intimidate onto the Rillaboom once again.
What a tough call, though. You have to assume that Shohei is going to try to go for the terrestrialization here, not having the Amoonguss to try to keep it safe. You want to know that you're able to kind of withstand this oncoming damage in your own right. The only problem is if you do see something like that Draining Kiss, you are a bit vulnerable to that. You have no Rage Powder to try to redirect that away, but it's just going to have to be a nasty play. You want to try to outpace the Shadow Rider Calyrex on Adam's side.
It's going to be the Astral Barrage, though, coming through, connecting on both the opposing Pokemon here. Again, really negligible damage, particularly considering there's a Nasty Plot on the opposing side. If I was Adam, I'd be quaking in my little hooves right now from the damage potential that can come back across the field at you right now.
This has been a bit of a slower game. We're really waiting for this kind of like this opening. Yes. Both of these players are looking for the right opportunity to try to just put the pressure on the gas.
Well, there's no safety net, right? This is game 3. The winner of this game wins the set. So there is no room for error. It's Pokemon World Championships. It's game 3 of round 1. You want to set the tone for your tournament journey here.
Fake out on the Incineroar could actually try to stop this Shadow Rider in its tracks. Shohei's worked so hard to try to get these Nasty Plot boosts onto this horse who could actually start to get itself into this race.
Adam too, though. Adam's been working really hard on these Calm Mind boosts. It's not just for the special attack. The critical thing is the special defense boost.
Yes.
Because you're against such a formidable special attacker in the form of the Calyrex, you need to make sure that, even as the Fairy type, you're going to be able to hang on to these Astral Barrages and make sure that you can deal significant damage, even with like a double up potential from something like the Incineroar, and get rid of the threat on the opposing side. Speaking of threats, Amoonguss is back on the field, though, as a defensive play from Shohei comes through in the form of the Protect.
Smart. You're going to be able to bypass that fake out.
Yep.
That way, you're not actually going to leave yourself vulnerable to taking too much damage. The Amoonguss gets a chance to switch back in. You're not worried about it taking too much damage. Calm Mind, though. Ooh, it's starting to get a little bit out of hand here. This is the third Calm Mind that Adam's been able to go for in this game number 3, which means that that special defense has 3 stages on top of it.
I honestly feel like in this game 3, we've been like climbing up the hill or like the roller coaster. You're going up, 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 and we're about to hit the peak and roll out with the damage here. The fact that these calm mines are in play, the fact that you've also got the nasty plot on the opposing side means the momentum is going to be key. Something like the Astral Barrage coming through on Adam's side, follow up by a potential Flare Blitz into that Amoonguss could be a key to success. But Amoonguss playing very defensively, going for the protect, as on Shohei's, the faster Calyrex is able to go for the Astral Barrage. First of all, connects down, decent damage, but no KOs.
No KOs just yet, but it looks like it could be very close onto something like that Incineroar, as the Astral Barrage in return. It's going to come down to what this Incineroar is able to do on the outside of this, but that Shadow Rider Calyrex is on his last legs. It's the Flare Blitz into that slot. Not ready to do the protect. It's enough to get the knockout. That is going to be Shohei losing his restricted in this third and final game of the set.
It's down and out. It left the field at the beginnings, come back in, got set up, but just wasn't able to get the knockouts here. A sigh of celebration there for the Incineroar on the field. Of course, it's not going to be able to get any boost from this, but it certainly swings the momentum into Adam's favor. The Amoonguss sitting very vulnerable now to a very similar play. The Astral Barrage and the Flare Blitz coming through. Rillaboom, same boat here, because it is not running that Assault Vest, and you can't even fake out the opposing Calyrex thanks to the Covert Cloak.
Covert Cloak is still intact. That is going to be a big problem here for Shohei to try to get through the rest of the Shadow Rider Calyrex's HP pool. Still sitting at half. Going to be getting a little bit more recovery, as well as his grassy terrain is still active on the field. But it's all about what's in the back here. Adam sees an out, sees the win at the end of the tunnel, and that is with the super effective damage that this Roaring might be able to dish out.
And honestly, I love that Flare Blitz play going down into the Calyrex, because if Amoonguss redirects it, it redirects it, but if you protect it, then you're not going to be dealing damage. Fantastic play. Incineroar taking a little bit of a break as the Calyrex also goes for the protect. The grassy terrain has come back onto the field as well. Going to be able to get that recovery up, give the Calyrex a little bit more longevity on the field here. As the Spore comes through, of course, it's going down into a Rillaboom. It's a grass type. It's not going to do any connecting here.
It's still something, though. You have to hope that it's going to be anything on the other side of the Incineroar.
Anything but the Rillaboom.
Yes, and literally anything but. Even in something in the back, you know that it's going to be susceptible to that fake out, or to that Spore. So now what's next, right? For Adam, it's still about trying to make sure that you've got the Shadow Rider Calyrex able to pin and finish up the game.
Yes, and again, if you're Adam, you have all 4 Pokemon remaining, so you have a little bit of flexibility, particularly when you have utility with something like the U-turn and the parting shots on your kind of Rillaboom and Incineroar pivot Pokemon, so you can keep applying pressure with these Intimidates to the opposing Rillaboom, or just completely shutting them down here as well with the Fake Out.
Astral Barrage. If this is not enough to clean up this Amoonguss, then there's an opportunity to go for the Spore into this Shadow Rider Calyrex. Give yourself a little bit of breathing room, but as that Astral Barrage is enough to knock out Shohei's Rillaboom, that is going to be just 2 Pokemon left here. Spore does connect. That is important, but it's just the Incineroar left to try to deal damage.
You know what? This gets very dicey here. The Incineroar on Shohei's side doesn't have Flare Blitz. Its only kind of attacking move, other than Fake Out, is Knockoff. And that's going down into a Fairy Pokemon on the opposing side. That's not going to be
so little.
Exactly. It's going to be doing like no damage. The Rillaboom as well, not going to be worrying too much, particularly when there is such low HP on that Incineroar. The Rillaboom on Adam's side, yes, it can't do too much to the opposing Incineroar, but you can clean up into that Amoonguss with something like the U-turn. You can maybe try and go for just, I don't know, Wood Hammer damage into the Incineroar, or even just the U-turn yourself. But there's the forfeit. Shohei concedes.
He is going to concede there, and Adam Sherfui is going to win the very first Swiss match that we have here in day number 1 of the 2024 Pokemon World Championships. Fantastic positioning coming through from the Shadow Rider Calyrex to get those Calm Mind boosts up and ready to go. And it was just too much for Shohei to try to get through.
That's got to be a good feeling right there. Day 1, round 1 of the Pokemon